Good evening. What a night. Well, I'm back in Panama City, beautiful Panama City. Left at 4:30 this morning, and I'm feeling like, well, crap, okay? But my buddies are going to bail me out tonight. Help me out. Ben Troupe standing by in Orange Blue Room. We'll have Loren Meadows. Franz Beard will be here, and then we'll have Kevin Brockway from the Sun to keep up what's going on in Gainesville. Sometimes it's just exhausting, isn't it? It's just exhausting. Do the best we can. No music tonight because everything I'm doing driving is looking different for whatever reason. So I'll let Ben sing. So stand by while we tell you what's going on. It's Ben Troupe. And we got to talk some ball and what is going on with the next thing with Billy Napier. Good evening to you, Ben. I'll say it's time again for a Buddy Martin. There's the music. Okay.
I like your little I like your jingle though. I like your theme song. No, I agree, buddy. A lot has transpired in the last 3 or 4 days in Gainesville. We learned how to make headlines just by doing press conferences and who's starting and who's not on the depth chart. But I will say this, the thing about Billy Napier and the ever this door that just seems to just keep moving, the ever evolving door known as Billy Napier. I will say this about him this week. Learned a lot about himself. Learned a lot about how much passion he has for these players. And buddy, did a little damage control because I always say this about head coach. You haven't been a head coach long enough until something you said riles up. And in this case, the fan base, because the fan base was, hold on, let me say this. They was already riled up. Then his comments didn't make things. It made national news. I'm talking about the national shows. Now, he did come out and clarify. And I do believe him when he did clarify it, because he had to clarify it. In this case, buddy, he had to clarify it. But let me say this about Billy Napier. Look, nobody wants this team to succeed more than him. And not just, obviously, for individual reasons, but it just ain't translated yet. I'm going to tell you why I say that. Yes, last week is over with. Thank God it's over with, and it was ugly, right? What you think going on right now? What you think going on right now in Tallahassee? What you think going on right now what you think going on right now in Baton Rouge? What you think going on right now at Clemson? So, and I'm not bringing attention to those coaches to say, look at them. I'm saying somebody told me this. Somebody said, I was on the show and somebody said, Ben, half the schools lost week 1. Not just Florida, half. So everybody that played, half of them won, the other half lost. Now, Florida, he said, y'all make national headlines because y'all are a national brand. So what goes on in Gainesville is huge. But I will say this. I am never going to make excuses for Billy Napier. But I'm not going to let the players off the hook. And the reason why I say this, buddy, is this. Sometimes we talk so bad about Billy Napier because 2 things. He's a head coach and he's a grown man. So we can talk about him. He can handle it. That's a part of his job. But sometimes we be doing our best not to really talk about the players. And I'm not saying players individually. I'm not pointing out a player. I'm just saying their play. Last week was hard to watch. I heard some Gator greats, some Gator players I ain't heard speak in a while about the play or lack thereof. But, buddy, let me say this, and you know this, buddy. I will not blame Billy Napier for something the players control. I'm going to keep on saying that. Those players got to go out there and execute. And I get it. It was ugly. Week 1 was ugly. But you know what we've learned at my time, either since 2000 when I got to Florida till now? You're going to win some games you should lose. You're going to lose some games you should win. And it's going to be some games you got to put in the back burner. Week 1, 2024 is one of those weeks. For 1 week, listen, how Florida looked week 1 was how Florida looked last year against Kentucky. We was just like, what's going on? Like and it was a group effort. But I do not want to live in the days of tomorrow. The news of the day is DJ Lagway is going to get the start. Now, here's why he gets a chance to do it. Number 1, I'm praying for Graham Mertz being in the concussion protocol. That's number 1. Number 2, I'm praying for Ricky Pearsall. Happy that he's out the hospital, back in the weight room. Happy for him. But, buddy, this is a beautiful scenario for University of Florida and DJ Lagway, because I was in 2003 was Chris Leak's freshman year, true freshman year, my senior year. His first start was at LSU on the road. This is not the same situation for a DJ Lagway, but buddy, two things. I'm happy for him, and Gator Nation as well as Billy Napier needs something to feel good about. Because when you talk about DJ, it kind of gets away from week one, even though he had a good drive, even though it was garbage time. DJ Lagway's mother and father have been the most gracious parents you've ever seen on X. What they've been saying about Graham, what they've been saying about their son, but it wasn't, you could tell it wasn't one of those things that they wanted it like this. But here we are, week 2. That way, Graham can get a full week, because Texas people. Let me go ahead and tell you, and I do think Florida's going to win the game. I hope DJ Lagway has an incredible day. He will not be starting week 3 if Graham Mertz is healthy, and you don't want him to start in week 3 if Graham Mertz is healthy. But when I saw that DJ Lagway was starting, it was breaking news. It set X and all social media sites ablaze. People's going crazy. It says a lot about him. Because, buddy, you know this. It's hard to be ready in college football even as a redshirt freshman, let alone a true at the quarterback position. But I think what Billy Napier told him was this week, he sat in, I guarantee it was a one-on-one meeting. He probably said, DJ, you starting this week. Listen, I don't got to tell you how to conduct yourself because you know how to conduct yourself. But we are going to do our best to put you in a position to succeed. I saw the depth chart. I know that certain players, I'm not going to get into certain players was on it, wasn't on it. Buddy, that tape last week was hard to watch. So there are certain players that we might not see as much of in week 2 than we did in week 1, because I get the X and O's. Some of that effort on Saturday, woo, it was hard to watch. But I am happy for DJ Lagway. I'm happy for Billy Napier because, like I said, just look at it this way. And I'm not comparing the two, even though I kind of am. Mm-hmm. If Florida goes undefeated in 2023 and only wins the SEC, loses in the college football playoff, and they start off 0-2 in 2024, we going crazy, which means Billy Napier can't win until he wins. He cannot win with the media, with the fans, with perception until he wins. So we'll see what happens.
Right, so I hear what you're saying. And thank you for carrying the ball tonight, because I'm under the weather, and I asked you to pick me up a little bit today, and I'm not feeling great. And we're going to go get Loren in just a minute. But before we do, I want to make a couple of comments. I'm not going to throw the book at Billy and over everything, but we've said this a number of times. When you do things the right way and you do things for people and you have relationships, it gives you what they call money in the bank. Goodwill. And Billy has his own little circle, but he's very private with it. And he hasn't been exactly gregarious to certain members of the media. Not that the media is that important anymore. I don't mean that. But he probably wishes now he had been listened a little bit better to some people about some things they were trying to tell him, which he didn't buy into. But we're not going to hold that over his head. But it's time to pay the piper. Yeah, you don't take care of business. So we'll see what happens. And I want to say this: change is coming.
Oh yeah.
We might not like some of it, and in its own way, despite the fact that Graham Mertz had little or nothing to do with it, it's refreshing to see DJ Lagway out there on the field. I know it's unintended circumstances, but I am glad to get a chance to see him and baptize him under fire. I think this kid's great. I don't think Graham Mertz is a problem. No. But by the same token, if you're talking about next year, pretty soon that's what I'll be talking about. I want to see Graham Mertz. I'm excited to see him. So, all right, let me tell you about my friends over at Meldon Law. Good people. They always sponsor our shows. We're grateful for that. I want you to know about them. The only injury law firm at the University of Florida, their official partner. There's a reason, because they're good people. They can take care of your needs. They're smart at what they do. And Meldon Law is where you want to go if you have an issue legal to deal with. Jeffrey, of course, is a great Gator. He loves rooting for the Gators, and he buys tickets and gives them away and sponsors stuff. And so we all know about Jeffrey. I went to his birthday party last week, and it's great to be with him. So Meldon Law, they're there. They got offices in Ocala, Gainesville, Wilson, Lake City. Check them out if you want to review your case or whatever. Meldon Law is the place to go. Meldon Law, they won't back down. Now, let's go see if we can find Loren. He was here earlier. I don't know if this new setup, if I can find him or not. Are you there, Loren? I don't know. All right. So, yeah, this whole thing is new to me. I don't know.
All right, we're going to start doing this. Listen, for you listeners, what we're going to start doing.
Hold on. There he is. There he is, that handsome rascal. Last night, star of the stage and the screen. Oh, God. What's up, Loren?
How you guys doing? Good to see you, Ben.
What's going on, Loren? Loren is a humble, you know what I'm saying, local superstar around there. You know, Loren's gonna be humble with it. But Loren been walking with the missus, people running up to him saying, "You Loren Meadows, right?" Hey, bro, don't run up. Yeah, it's me, but don't run up on me now. I'm still from Ohio. You don't do that. I'm cool with you. Just don't run up on me, man. I got to stay ready out here in these Gainesville streets.
Nah, man, I'm just you know, it's a pleasure to get to bump elbows with some of these Florida greats, man, and had a real good conversation with Chris Doring last night. Got to talk a little X and O's, and that's what I love, man, is being able to sit
can
down.
You turn your mic up just a little bit? We don't have it.
You got me now?
I think so. Maybe just sure, yeah.
Just being able to talk, you know, X and O's with some of these guys and really understand, you know, talk the way we were taught to play the game and things like that. So I think it's just been great for me for that, and you know, just being able to give the people what they want and try to just give them what we think. I mean, we're at the games, and you know, some of us played the game, and just being able to give some insights to where this thing is going, and you know, a lot of games to be played, but you know, Ben, as you know, we've talked and others, it just really didn't look good. And, you know, my thing is, I think when you get down to the football of it, I think this is a football team that has a Monday through Thursday problem. And what I mean by that is the way that things are being installed, conducted, communicated. I heard from a reliable source a few days ago that, you know, somebody mentioned the issues on defense, that they really don't even know who's in charge on defense, you know, and who to listen to. And those are issues that Billy Napier, for all the things that he does well, managing the Gator made and all that. I mean, a lot of that's fluff. You got to get down to the business of football and get some things corrected. And like Coach Spurs said, it's time to change. Whatever you've been doing is proven not to work. So here at the University of Florida, you gotta figure out and change some things. So, you know, this is an opportunity. You kind of going in a different direction at the signal caller for the week. You know, I would assume that the game plan could be very vanilla and still allow DJ Lagway to show his skills. But like somebody said, I mean, you know, the quarterback Quincy Crittenden for Sanford, I mean, he's very Cam Ward-like. And if they don't get him on the ground, things could get really interesting, because you got a defense that has shown an inability to get people off the field. And until that changes, you know, it really doesn't matter at the QB position.
Loren, let me get a little closer, your mic. We're not getting a very strong audio signal on you.
You got me now?
It's just rolled up a little higher. Yeah. We got Franz waiting in the wings. So tonight I want to kind of move the ball around some. We expect Kevin Brockway to be joining us here shortly. He had a story of reporting about the lack of production in the offense, which we all know about. He had a nice story this week in the Gainesville Sun. Franz Beard standing by. Got to see he's feeling better. We're going to get jammed up with a lot of people here. Yeah. I want to just say a couple of things and back out and listen to you guys talk about it. We've had some fascinating stories this week. Let's see. Yes, I did. Send the link to you. All right. There's Kevin.
Am I better now, buddy?
A little bit, but you're still kind of far away. Man, are you hearing him?
I can hear him. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right on the microphone.
I can hear Ben fine, but you're just a little bit.
Yeah, let me see what I can do.
You turn it up, Eddie?
Yeah, my gain and everything. I'm I'm
We'll
waiting.
get your mic closer to you then. Just pull your mic
It's,
closer.
it's super close. You got
Okay.
me? Yeah, man. I'm like on it. Like I'm on it.
Yeah. No, we're going to go get Franz in a minute. So let me just throw this out there. It's always something exciting about newness. Change brings about new things, sometimes out of necessity. Now we're going to see the quarterback situation. Nothing wrong with the way Graham Mertz has played, but I'm on record as saying what little I've seen of this young man. I think DJ Lagway is a special player, and I can't wait to see him get his reps and get in there. Now, do I want to see that at the expense of Graham? No, I don't. But if you have to make a change, this is fortuitous one that could certainly help his team in the long range. Right now, anything they can do to help themselves is important. And you guys know, and I know Franz does, you hear from everybody. Everybody, we walk down the street, we get stopped. What's going to happen? What are they going to fire Billy? Or what? And you get that discussion. It's a little too early to start making lists. I know people got them. I'm sure probably Scott Strickland's got one in his back pocket. I don't want to hear Jed Fish anymore. I mean, please. Let's get a little higher. Nothing wrong with Jed Fish, but you aren't going to change the culture of this program or win with getting Jed Fish. I'm sorry, you're not. Go get Lane Kiffin. That's what you got to do. So anyway, change is difficult, but change is also exciting. And I got to say this. It's hard being a Gator fan. I mean, it's really taxing. I mean, there's a lot on you. You got to go through a lot of stuff. And it's painful sometimes. I got to thinking about, shoot, I'd be ready for some basketball or something because it's just so hard. Last weekend was one of the hardest weekends we've had in a long time because why? We're all saying, oh my gosh, here we go again. Mullen, McElwain, right down the same path. I don't know the answer. You want to change it, but at what price? Let's stop right there and go ask this guy the question at the same time. Bring him in now. The Church of the Orange and Bluebloods is open. All the deacons and the pastors are in place, ready to preach the sermons and say, what's next? Is it ever going to get any better, Franz Beard?
Well, if it doesn't, then we're going to have the revolving door again. I'm writing a column today with 5 theories of what could happen. And there's 2 of them that work out well for Billy, and there's 3 of them that don't. And I think I'm being fair when I say that, simply because you got to factor in the economics of this thing. And you cannot afford to lose boosters who may not only donate money, cash that keeps the program going, but also donate NIL money that keeps the DJ Lagways from taking an offer. Because trust me, if Florida fires Billy Napier, you know who the first 2 people are going to offer DJ Lagway a big NIL contract? One of them's up there in Athens and the other one's up there in Oxford. Both of them have senior quarterbacks. Both of them have proven that they can develop quarterbacks. I mean, let me put it this way. Stetson Bennett is in the National Football League. If that doesn't prove that Georgia can develop a quarterback, I don't know what does. I mean, Stetson Bennett, when he came up, I didn't think he could throw it farther than I can. And I've had rotator cuff surgery, and I'm going to have it again. So, you look at that. Over at Oxford, Lane Kiffin, my gosh. And let me tell you something else. Lane Kiffin is going to have the hottest coaching prospect in the country working for him this year, and that is Charlie Wise Jr. I've talked to enough NFL people. He can have an NFL coordinator's job next year if he wants it. He can have a college football head coaching job next year if he wants it. And the question is, does he decide that maybe he needs another year of seasoning working with Lane? But just the same. Whether it's Charlie Wise Jr. or Lane Kiffin, both of them have the record of developing people. So the money's going to be there for DJ. So what you cannot afford is for that NIL money to dry up, because because if Billy gets fired, it's going to take a boatload more of what DJ Lagway is making now to keep him here. Whatever he's making now, which I understand is in excess of 7 figures, it's going to take more than that to keep him here.
Yeah, let me jump in there real fast and say, we'll get back to that subject, well, who we're going to keep. I want to get to the heart of the issue of the offense. The offense. We thought the offense was fixed. We thought the defense was better. Offense wasn't fixed. Kevin Brockway of the Gainesville Sun did a piece this week talking about the offense and what it looked like and why it looked that way. Let's bring him into discussion right now and say good evening to Kevin Brockway of the Sun. Evening, Kevin.
Good evening. Yeah, exactly. Thanks for bringing me in, buddy, and thanks for referencing that story. I thought the play calling was abysmal. I mean, let's be honest here. First 5 series of the game, you only come away with 3 points. We knew the defense was going to be shaky coming into the season, but you thought coming into the season that, we were sold Graham Mertz, Billy Napier year 2 in the offense and the scheme, that this offense was going to be, hum very similar at the end of last season. And we did not see that at all. 2 third down plays before the sticks early in that game. I just really thought that, it left a lot to be desired, and I can understand why Gator fans were upset.
Kevin, let me ask you.
Oh, go ahead.
I want to ask you. I mean, what is in your opinion, have you gotten any indication that Billy has come to the realization that maybe, we heard kind of discussion, he kind of alluded to that in some ways he didn't think Russ Callaway was ready to take the next step and be the primary play caller. But have you gotten any indication that he may feel like he needs to turn some of that over to someone else, or is it going to continue to be him as the primary play caller?
I think Billy wants to hold on to it, but I think also he wants to kind of bring Russ Callaway along slowly. I mean, there was some talk that Russ Callaway called some of the plays during the scrimmage, for example. But I don't think we saw any evidence of that. Don't forget, Dan Enos was in the press box too, which is kind of interesting. And Dan Enos, as we remember, got fired last year at Arkansas before the end of the season as offensive coordinator. So it sounds like his opinion is being, he's an offensive analyst here. His opinion is being taken into account as well. But between the 3 of them, I didn't see a game plan that was smart. Let's put it that way. I kind of thought it's interesting because Graham Mertz is a guy that we have seen throughout August. And I think some people might have been in Billy's ear about the deep balls and so forth. But we know what Graham Mertz does well. What Graham Mertz does well is 3 to 5 step drops, get the ball out quickly, hit receivers in stride. That's how Graham Mertz is going to create an explosive offensive play, in my opinion, is get, Trey Wilson on a crossing pattern, hit him perfectly in stride with his accuracy, and have him turn the corner and beat a defensive back and gain yards after catch. And we did not see that game plan at all, especially against the Miami front 7 that's going to pressure you. So I just didn't think it was a really sound strategy, considering the opponent. But we'll see what kind of progress they make in week 2 against Samford.
Let me just say this, excuse me for comment about the offense. Excuse me. The one I talked to a lot of Gators, some of them well-known Gators, none of which wanted to go on the record. But one of the common criticisms at people who are high-level offensive minds, I brought the subject up, was one of the problems that when Billy's offense came on the field, he didn't set up his plays. He didn't run one thing to give you a look and then come back and give you something else. The great play callers know how to do that. Miami did it, and it seemed like it was predictable. You saw the story where the Miami staff said they knew Billy's plays because it was the same thing they've always been. That certain sameness. That's what's wrong with the offense, and how do you fix it, Ben? Start with you, go around the horn.
I mean, it's hard to fix the offense, after the first game of the year because put in most of everything you're gonna run. I think the thing about this offense right here, there is no creativity. And the thing about college football is, the best teams, then it's not like they're running a lot of plays. They give you a lot of formations. They run in the same plays. And I think the thing about Florida's offense that's always going to be hard is I should not know what's coming, walking to the kitchen. And I just look over my shoulder and go, yep, they about to run up. And that's the thing. I mean, 2023, we did more passes that went horizontal than vertical than anybody in the country. You throw a horizontal, you hope you make somebody miss. The thing about Billy is it makes it look like your players can't do it. See, that's what you don't when you watching and you got the players, but if you don't call the plays, it makes it look like they can't run complex plays. I believe they can. Because when you look at this offense, I mean, Montreal and the running game, I mean, it's almost like the running game is just there for nothing. You're not even using to open up for the pass. Deep balls aren't thrown to complete them. They're thrown to get the safeties to back up. The safeties are so close. If you watch a Miami defense, they're not even gonna throw it deep. Forget complete. They're not even gonna throw it. And Graham Mertz, the whole thing about it is people say he don't throw it deep. Is he allowed to? Like, is the game plan set up for him to even try to push the ball down the field? It's always gonna be a head scratcher for me because it used to be a time to where at Florida, and I loved our former coach, the new Billy Napier replaced. He didn't even try to run the ball, right? But the offense was still, good. Now all we do is run the ball, and we can't push it. So for me, it's definitely about creativity. And when I say creativity, I'm not saying they got to run these exotic route combinations. What about motion? Not motion. Motion to see, okay, what is the defense doing to get guys in space? We don't do that. You know how hard it is not to have 300 yards total offense in football, period? Any level of football. You ain't got 300 total. That is extremely hard to do. And like I said, for me, it makes it look like the players can't get a complex scheme, or you can't just say, hey, man, we're going to run a very, very vanilla scheme. We want you guys to go out there and make guys miss. Don't put me in a position to go out there and make plays. Because when DJ got in, he just was going in rhythm. That's all it was. When he came, the game was over by then, by the way. Let me say that. The game was out of – but I don't know. I just think for me, if I'm a play caller and I'm not getting it done, if that was an offensive coordinator calling plays, they'll get rid of him. But because of the head coach, you can't. And I don't like stuff like because if it was Coach Callaway calling the plays, they'll get somebody else. But because of the head man, he'll go, okay, because at a certain point, them players, they respect you, but they do not believe in your play calling, and they got to run out there and run those plays now. You got a true freshman finna run out there this weekend. Hey, I know I'm thinking the offense gonna look better, but he do not play defense. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the sameness of you go into the kitchen, look over your shoulder. Franz, you remember my late sister who knew about as much football as a first grader. She went to every game. When Doug Dickey was the coach, she could call his plays. She knew what was coming next, And it's the same thing that we're talking about. I mean, how can you have that 2nd and 5 and run the ball and make 1 yard? Do something different, throw a screen or
well, it's kind of like we've been through those you and I, buddy. Kevin might remember it because he's still a young sprout out there, but you and I remember the Emmitt Smith offense of 1989 was Emmitt left, Emmitt right, Emmitt up the middle. They lost their passing game. Kyle Morris got hurt and Stacey Simmons got hurt, and they didn't seem to think they had anybody else who could catch the ball. So they ended up with Donald Douglas at quarterback, couldn't do anything, and it was too predictable. And, somebody told me the other day, they said, well, our receivers, trust me, our receivers are well coached. Billy Gonzalez is as good a coach, a wide receivers coach as there is. But your receivers run the routes of the play that's called. And the plays that called, as Kevin pointed out, as Loren and Ben have pointed out, the plays that have been called were way, way, way too predictable. I kept waiting. They throw that first little pass. Wilson coming around the corner. Whoop! They flip it the ball to him. 11 yards on the first play of the game. Later on in the first half, in the second quarter, they run Wilson across. Everybody goes with him. Montrell comes back the other way, 71 yards for a touchdown. And I'm thinking, okay, that worked. When are we going to do that again? We didn't.
Yeah, well, one of the things that was talked about, and Shane talked about it in depth, and I think, Loren, you talked about it, was surprisingly some of the routes were pretty ragged. And Billy Gonzalez receivers don't usually do that. Some of the things they ran, and also they had the wrong guys running go routes, the wrong people. And some of the plays they ran, the wide receiver didn't run a good route. And that was the talk I heard, Loren, from some of the people. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did. And I heard it from quite a few guys, and guys that are in the know, have played the position. And not only that, it goes back to some of the schematic things where not only were the route combinations bad, but those of us that know the game of football a little bit, it was very lost on us who Graham Mertz was supposed to be reading, who they were trying to attack, and what the goal of the route combinations were. So, I think sometime where, you can whip people's butt by playing hitch seam all day. I mean, you can throw dig post and with a drag underneath and beat the brakes off people if you are executing. And what Florida had was they had schematic problems, and then even in the scheme, the execution was poor. And I think that's what you hear from guys. You're talking about a post that was an instant 6 if it's thrown with 33 1/3 of field left to play with. And you got guys that you got the Chris Dorings of the world, the Shane Matthews, who like, oh, that's taking candy from a baby because you're open, and we're not throwing guys open even when the technique is bad. You're not going to run a perfect route all the time. It does not happen. But when you have a situation where your defense wasn't playing well and the offense has little room for error, you can't be. I mean, you had Arliss Boardingham drifting on an out route that was thrown late. He drifted 7 yards deeper than he needed to be based on the coverage. But even then, the scheme was wrong because of the corner, who I'm sure at some game in Miami, he's going to get caught for being nosy. If he drops about 3 yards deep, he probably picks the thing, even if it's run right, because the scheme was bad. They had so many issues in the throwing game, buddy, that just the execution as a whole was just poor.
Loren, it's interesting you pointed out Boardingham too, because I thought he was a little bit of a disappointment. And also, Shane pointed out in the hot routes too, running backs too in the flat were running too far. They weren't crisp either.
Right.
Interesting, in the depth chart this week, obviously, which we saw on Wednesday, Elijah Badger moving into a starter ahead of Khalil Jackson. Obviously, he was a little bit of a bright spot, I thought, in the Miami game. And also Marcus Burke has had a good week of practice. Guy in Jacksonville who we know has a lot of promise, but maybe he's had a few attitude issues in the past. So maybe, some of those changes there too. We'll see if they can, impact things and kickstart things in the passing game for Samford.
How much of that, let me ask you three guys this, and Buddy too, based on what I saw and based on something that I was told this morning by a former Florida wide receiver who said, how much of this was all about a bad communication? Because the offensive line was never in sync, and maybe were they just that bad, or was the communication that bad? Were the receivers running what looked like the wrong routes because they didn't get the right communication? Was the quarterback, was everything nothing seemed in sync? So I think you have to ask the question, how much of it had to do with just rotten communication? And I'll ask you three guys that question because I don't know the answer. I can only tell you what somebody told me.
I'll say this: you have 8 months, 9 months to prepare. I mean, that's a bad indictment on the coaching staff if that's the case. I mean, this isn't like you have a week turnaround. I mean, you had, Billy Napier said leading into the game, Franz, right? We've been preparing for this game since January.
Yeah.
They did not look like a team that was preparing since January, in my opinion.
No, they didn't.
I'm gonna defer to the NFL tight end on this one first, but then I got my answer too. But I'm gonna defer to the NFL tight end first.
I think bad communication would be efficient if you didn't have as much time, as far as like this offense to put in. And I think it does just come down to execution. Here's the thing about the offense. I mean, right? We are talking about the offense as much as we are as if to say the defense wasn't equally as bad. But the thing about the offense is different than defense is. I need one guy to get it right. We're talking about these routes. I need one guy to run a good one. And that's who should get the ball. If you talk about Arliss and he's drifting, he's not good enough to do that. But what starts happening is when the quarterback is getting hit, when the receivers aren't getting open, and Miami's playing with confidence, that is a recipe for disaster. I don't care if it's they at home. And what started happening was the thing about our offense, especially in the passing game, sometimes, like even on that post, it's easy to break down the tape and say, hey, Graham Mertz missed him. Yeah, but you ain't getting hit. Because what started happening is I'm getting inside pressure. Now I'm getting hit from the outside. I do think it was bad communication, but you can have bad communication and still get it done. Like I said, as a person that played I don't know what type of offense they're running. My last 2 years of Florida, our offense, right? We had menu 1, menu 2, menu 3. Zonebreaker used to tell us, y'all make things complicated. Is that Ty Law at safety? Is that Champ Bailey at corner? You can't get open on a dude with all this. That's how they used to coach us. They're like, wait a minute, y'all boys getting locked up. Like, that's the 85 Bears defense. And that's how our offense be looking. We can't get open on nobody. And sometimes I'd be like, dude, wait a minute. What we had last year is a guy, Ricky Pearsall, who said, that cornerback is not good enough to cover me. I don't care who he is, J.C. Horn, Hargraves, whoever. And now, when we play teams, we lost, and I get it. We be making teams look like they ain't – Miami is like, dude, we ain't never played like this. Like, the last – Mario Cristobal said, dude, I don't even know what to say in the press conference. I don't know what the hell that was. That's how we made them look. I'm not saying they didn't beat us. They beat us. But my goodness, it's almost like Cam Ward – I ain't going to get on Cam Ward because he had a great game. But for me, with the offense, it is too many guys. They got too much game experience. The best player on the field hadn't even practiced. Montreal was the best player out there. He ain't even that is the part that would scare me if I'm a player saying, bro, the best player out here, he just got off a bike, off of Muscle Beach. So I do think we will get it right. But the problem is if the guy who we didn't even think was gonna play looked like he ain't missed a beat, and then the receivers and all these. Just because you got a senior next to your name and a junior next, that don't mean you're supposed to start. That is not how football goes. The best player's supposed to play. And like I said, these DBs was on our receivers I'm like, dude, what is going on? And like I said, cornerbacks can't cover posts with no safety help. Dion can't do that. The whole field. Look, in football, I throw to the open. I throw him over by throwing over there. All I'm saying is it was a long day. The best part about that game is when it was over. Good God, it was hard to watch. But I will say this, Loren. It's easy to say it's bad communication when it go bad, right? But guess what? When we win, we're going to run the same offense. It's going to be the same. Guys just going to be getting open. And it's easy to put it on Graham Mertz. But let me tell you something. When you get knocked out, as a person that's been knocked out, every time I've gotten hit in football, I was running and I saw the dude coming. I ain't never had to stand in the pocket, throw a ball, and get my head knocked off. That is Graham Mertz, and that has been him since he got in Florida. DJ Lagway, listen, drink your milk, young man, because if you think that old line they're going to be better this Saturday, but improved don't mean it's going to look good. But it was bad communication. I'm never going to let them use that as an excuse. Go out there next year, man. It was hard to watch. That was rough.
I was talking to a well-known Gator today, and bad communication. Whose fault is that?
Well, I don't disagree.
Who is the fault?
I don't disagree that it's the coach's fault on there.
Of course it is.
But my point being, nobody was in sync. Whether it was the wide receivers, the offensive line, the quarterback, nobody was in sync. So what's that all about?
Monday through Thursday. I've been saying it. They have a Monday through Thursday problem in the entire program. They have a Monday through Thursday problem. The things that they need to work on, like Chris Doring talked about, running routes on air.
Routes on air. So they ran thousands of
hours and hours of routes on air. And I'm going to tell you, man, as a former receiver, routes on air is two cool things about routes on air. Routes on air is one thing. The ball don't never hit the ground if you're a good football team. So it's like poetry in motion. And Ben knows this. But number two is you can simulate different situations. So in that situation, you say, hey, Elijah, you're going to run this route. This route is designed for you. Some post routes, you're just clearing out. And hey, you look up, you're like, oh, I'm wide open. And you might just kind of run. But when you got a route, like Elijah Badger basically had a hem route on that post. And instead of running, driving the guy's outside shoulder, sticking that outside foot in the ground and breaking hard to separate. That's where the separation occurs. He didn't do that. And then he wasn't on the same page. But like in that case, they should have been saying on this play, this is what we're going to get. When I break, run me to the field. Run me to the field. But when that happens? Monday through Thursday. When you buckle up to play against a team that's got a quarterback that's going to be all over the place and a pretty good running game with two returning starters on the offensive line, Monday through Thursday. You get ready to kick people's teeth in Monday through Thursday. So I agree, Franz. It's not I agree. It's the communication, but ultimately it falls on Billy Napier because and go ahead, Kevin. I mean, it just falls on that Monday through Thursday. You consistently see a team that's not prepared to play on Saturday.
Lauren, you mentioned routes on air, I thought, which was interesting, and that sounds to me like extra work, after practice. We saw Ricky Pearsall work. We saw Ricky Pearsall work his way into being a first-round pick. We don't know for sure, but is this a little bit of an indictment on maybe some guys not putting in that work that's necessary, or what are we saying here?
I mean, you pretty much work routes on air. I mean, there's usually pretty good routes on air, period, in practice. We get to see it a lot, which I will say this, and I hate saying this. I've always thought this, and I guess I should have said it sooner, but I was trying to just we see routes on air a lot, Kevin, when we go to practice.
Yeah.
Correct? And it's really not that long. And I always think, man, they don't, it's not that long. So my question is, and I agree with you, maybe they either need to extend the period and or maybe stay after practice a little bit more if they feel like it, because, their routes on air period between the receivers and the quarterbacks, from what we see, Kevin, is about 7 minutes? And that ain't long enough to get it done. I mean, Ben, that don't even happen.
I mean, but even with that, I mean, they used to tell us, listen, practice, they used to call it the proving grounds when we used to practice. They used to call it, after practice, man, is your priority. Think about this. You only get so many plays in practice because you got to be able to work the whole thing. That's what quarterbacks and receivers, tight ends build confidence. And they used to, because what it does is it's saying, look, man, there's going to be times to where you're going to have to make a throw and know my body language. You're going to have to know, hey, man, I know I'm 2003, we're playing at South Carolina. Chris Leak threw me a pass. To this day, I'm saying, who is he throwing it to? I'm saying that while I'm running. The ball is in the air. Who is he throwing that to? He's throwing it to me. He threw it before I broke. He threw it in at South Carolina. Because I'm running routes to do two things, get open and protect him. That's what Ron Slick told me. You got to get open to protect him. He's 18, you 21. When he threw it, it was an ill-advised throw. Guess what? He's 18, starting in the SEC. I had to come because football at a certain point got to be, man, I don't want to let these dudes down. I don't care about individual accolades. That comes as a byproduct of how you play. Some of these dudes, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, lies have to stop being told to yourself when you look in the mirror. Because I don't care. Listen, my mom and daddy love me, and I'm pretty sure they didn't tell me what they really want to say when, because I'm their son. When I used to walk off, they'll say, he got to play better. My mama wasn't built like that. My mama said, boy, you playing timid.
Mine wasn't either.
My mom told me to my face, boy, you play timid. Now, here's the thing. I'm out eating my dinner after the game, Franz, and Kev and Lauren and Buddy. My mama telling me, Boy, you play timid. I'm choking on my food. I want to say, lady, who are you? Who is you? But here's the thing. Because I came from her, she ain't got no reason to lie. The fans gonna lie to me. They're gonna patronize me. And my daddy said, boy, we traveled a long way to see this now. We traveled a long way to see it. Some of these players gonna have to ask themselves at a certain point, throw Billy Napier out for a second. I get it. Throw the D coordinator out for a second. You play. When I play, you think Alex Brown would say something to me, and I play offense. Gerard Warren would say something to me. And I think for this team, I guarantee you, if I cannot call you out as a teammate, we ain't gonna win a lot of games. Because I can't. Player-led teams are the best, and I guarantee you, I didn't like Alex Brown and Gerard Warren and Kenyatta Walker, but guess what? Them boys made sure they said you ain't gonna embarrass me out there, and I play offense. Hey, coach, don't put him in there. They'll say that to the whole team. Nowadays, you can't hurt nobody's feelings. Don't say that to him, Ben. That's gonna hurt his feelings. So let me get this straight. He can, as Coach Berg would say, you can listen. It ain't your fault. It's our fault because we put you out there. He would tell us that. It ain't your fault. It's our fault. Jesse Palmer, 2000, said, I'm going to be the starter of this team. Coach Berg came to the team meeting. He said, give it up for Jesse Palmer, clap it up for him because he's an idiot. He said this in front of us. He didn't say it because he said it to the Gainesville Sun. Now, Jesse Palmer wanted to say something, but he ain't going to say nothing to Spurrier. Because you know what Spurrier told him? It ain't this team you got to worry about. Well, we got a boy named Rex. That's who you got to worry about. Who ended up starting? Rex. It wasn't no favoritism. I guarantee you, when it comes to this team, Billy Napier got to take the bumps and bruises for everybody to watch it in press conference. He got to deal with it. Could you imagine if some of them players had to step up there and answer them same questions? It's going to turn real ugly because they're going to say, you need to get off me. You playing. So I'm going to blame Billy because he gets paid a lot of money and he's a grown man. But what I really want to say to these players, I love them too much. I feel like Deion Sanders when he's talking about cornerbacks. I can't say what I want because Loren and Kev and Buddy and Franz, at a certain point, it is the players because players make plays. Coaches can call the worst play. I played for the Raiders when they had Lane Kiffin as the head coach. I played for Lane. And we had Jamarcus Russell at quarterback. It was over, but we got to the stadium. It was a wrap. But guess what? They paying us. I also played for John Gruden with the Bucs. So I know great play calling, and I know the Raiders. So all I'm saying is, at a certain point, these players got to run up there and say, hey, listen, coach, don't say nothing. It's on us. It's our fault. Because if they ain't looking at it like that, if they going home saying, coach got to call a better play. Were you drifting, Ernest? Mama, you knew I was drifting? Yeah. That quarterback should have picked it off. I'm telling you, these people know what we're looking at. It's more than just analysts that know what they're looking at. And if you watch Florida on Saturday, people pay good money for their cable, man. They pay good money for these apps. Jesus Christ, that was rough.
Great stuff there, man. Great stuff. Now, hold on. Excuse me. One thing I want to say. Now, I told Kevin I was going to keep him 10 minutes. I already had him like 30. So for Kevin, if you got to go, I understand.
Kevin is the man, by the way. If y'all ain't reading Kevin, guys, you need to read.
I was going to
absolutely.
Say, yeah, thank you guys for the kind words. Yeah.
I wanted to say, let's get down to the real gospel here on the Church of Orange and Bluebloods tonight. This is the words we don't want to have to say. This is what the Come to Jesus meeting is about. When you say, what's wrong? Now, what we don't want to admit is that Billy is not able to coach at this level. I'm not saying he is, but you have to say that is on the table. I mean, it's a terrible name, but Sunbelt Billy is what it is. And the question is, are the players good enough? Now, that's the heart of the argument. If you want to get right down to it and say it, you can I'll give each one of you a minute to talk, 30 seconds to talk about it. But are they good enough? And is Billy the right coach? Before you do that, let me say this program is brought to you in part by TitanMRI.com. If you need MRI and you're in the Ocala, Gainesville area, I encourage you to check out TitanMRI.com. They have wonderful facilities. They custom make their appointments for you. If you want to go there nights, weekends, you can't do it during the daytime. they'll make that appointment for you. They also have the ability to use your card and cash if you don't have insurance, and they want to make your stay and your experience as positive as possible. I encourage you to go to titanmri.com and check out what they've got. They can make you feel much better about the MRI if you have to have one. All right, guys, the question on the table is the gospel truth. Is Billy a big league coach? And B, are the players good enough to compete? Loren, I see you looking at go first.
I think the players are good enough to compete. I do not think they have the players for a championship type of season. I think that they have players enough to be a 7-5, 8-4 football team. As far as Coach Napier, the way that he is going about it right now, I'm going to say no. I think he really needs to reevaluate a lot of what he's doing, how he's doing it, his relationships within this whole microcosm, and not just with the media and things like that, but just as a whole. I think, it's just tough. What I will say is this, and I want to point, and Dorian brought this up, and I want to make sure I get it in, and then I'll let everybody have it. It's going to be tough to get Lane Kiffin. The reason is Chris Doering swears that in Oxford, they really got a good thing going. He was there this week. They are a really good football team, which means that Lane Kiffin will be coaching into January with Ole Miss. So as much as the realness of it, the reality of it is the fact that Lane may not be in play one way or the other because he's going to still be coaching far past the early signing period. And unless they're just going to murder the transfer portal, I think from people I've talked to, Lane's going to be coaching into January.
All right, Franz, is Billy the right guy? And are the players good enough?
I agree with Loren that they've got good enough players at this point in the development to win 8 ball games. Now, whether they win 8 ball games or not is going to be dependent upon decisions made by the man on the sideline and the people up in the booth and the people who coach on practice. But something has to change immediately if they're going to win. And it's going to determine if Billy Napier coaches beyond this year or if he's back in the Sun Belt because that's where he can coach and he's got $26 million to live on the rest of his life, which that's pretty good. Personally, somebody told me today who's a coach, a former coach, who said, if I were him, I'd just take the season, go live the rest of my life on the beach somewhere for $26 million.
All right, Kevin, is he good enough?
Yeah.
Players?
I would say this: if the players aren't good enough, that's an indictment on Billy because he's brought in most of the players. He's had 3 years to develop them. There's no one on this defense that scares you other than Shamar James, in my opinion. Maybe Pup Howard showed a little promise. But this staff has had a big problem in their development routes in getting guys in the defensive transfer portal of anyone that scares you. That's been a huge problem, in my opinion. And offensively, they've been fine. Obviously, Ricky Pearsall. But name one guy that they've brought in. They've had a lot of misses on that side of the ball. I think that's really hurt them. And that's why the defense is struggling the way it is. Because I look at it kind of like, Ben, I look at it more from a player perspective in that regard. I think you got to win your next 4, to keep the Wolves at bay. And I think they're all 4 winnable. And then you go from there. But I think the next 4 are critical. You got to get out of the month 3-1 and you got to beat UCF. And then I think that the noise in the system with regards to Billy will calm down a little bit.
All right, Pastor Troupe, put in perspective for us.
Do I think Billy Napier is good enough? Yes. But the problem is, that is the problem. I don't think good enough is good enough at Florida. Like, he good enough. I think he is good enough, right? But here's the thing, right? Billy Napier, is a good recruiter. Are the players good enough? Yes. But I think it's still a lot yet to be determined because, like I said, when it comes to a guy like Billy Napier, what hurts him more than anything else is what goes on in places like Kentucky, like Missouri. Because they saying, wait, they winning? Not only are they winning, they beating the brakes off of Florida while they winning. They going 11-2 and 9-3. And the thing about Billy Napier is this. Look, at the end of the day, I remember when they hired him, And sometimes, man, you are a really, really good coach. You just might not be coaching the right team. I hope Billy is the guy. But Florida ain't for everybody, man. There are monsters and there are creators of monsters. Florida creates monsters. Both. The reason why Urban Meyer is keep talking about Florida is because he know. They say Urban, Florida, Ohio State, Florida. He ain't even hesitate. But he knows what it takes. He knows now, as long as you win in Florida, boy, it's the best place in the world to be. But when you losing, ask Muschamp, ask Mike LeWayne, ask Dan Mullen how they treated him. And this dude is going to, he's going to, January 6th. But they was like, they treated Dan Mullen like he was awful because he ain't like to recruit. Now think about this. If Billy can recruit and we can't win, Dan Mullen didn't even leave Gainesville and he was winning. It's got to be some type of balance in between. So do I think Billy Napier is good enough? Yeah, but good enough is good enough for other places. I don't think good enough is good enough for Florida. Not if you're talking about we are nationally relevant because we are a national brand. It ain't because we playing good football. And Billy Napier got to get us back to that because I think what's going on around Billy, and I ain't talking about Georgia and Alabama's of the world. I'm talking about teams like it's a guy named Eli Drinkwitz. A dude named Eli Drinkwitz is balling right now at Missouri, and he forgot he was at the SEC press conference, his opening press conference. He like, welcome to the Sun, and look at what he's doing. So I hope Billy is the guy. I really do. Billy is a family member because he wearing orange and blue, right? But it's just at a certain point, you got to show, some type of promise. And it can't be because you got the National Gatorade Player of the Year about to start. It's true. It can't be because of that. It got to be because is Miami that much better than us for one Saturday? Mm-hmm. And that's the part is teams building their resumes. I mean, Cristobal think he a good coach after 1 week. After 1 week he is, but we'll see. But good enough is good enough for teams that don't have postseason aspirations and don't have no winning tradition of winning championships. Good enough is good enough for Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Texas A&M. Florida, come on, man. We got 30 for 30s and freaking Netflix specials. Nowadays, come on, man. Let's stop this. Love you, Billy, but come on, man. We got to be better than this.
Talked to Urban a couple of days ago, and he said, breaks my heart what's happening in Gainesville. He said, I can tell you, when I was there and we lost one game, it was miserable. So imagine what it's like now. So it's really tough. Expectations are very high, maybe unreasonably high. 10 seconds each. Does Billy turn this around or not? Go, Ben.
I hope he does. I hope he does. And it really depends on what you mean by turnaround, buddy. I don't. That's a low. That's a low to say turnaround. I mean, I hope he does. I mean, because the optimistic man in me says yes, but I pay bills every month, so I don't know. We'll see.
All right, Loren, yes or no? Does he turn it around? Yes or no?
I'm gonna say no.
No. Yeah. Okay. Franz?
We'll know after the UCF game.
But you got to say yes or no now.
I took it out there, friends. I know we got to go to the presser on Saturday, but I put it out there, so I say no.
Right now, I have to say no.
All right, Kevin.
I'm going to be an optimist and say yes. I think that this team is a little better than I think what it showed on Saturday. And hey, if you know me well, maybe Miami's that good.
Well, you hope so. It's your alma mater.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's spoken like a true alumnus. That boy's smart right there.
All right, guys. Great job there. And I was going to say no, and Kevin talked me into it. I'm going to say yeah. Okay.
You only saying that because DJ Lagway starting on Saturday.
I know. I love DJ Lagway. I think it's great. I love it. You know how I feel about DJ. I predicted greatness before he ever set on his foot on the field.
You did. You called it.
I love DJ Lagway for two reasons. Because he played for Florida, and I have to. It ain't like I can't not love him. Kirk Cousins is my quarterback for Atlanta. Leave me alone, man. I'm trying to have a good day.
He's a great kid, though. I will give that. I spent some time with him.
I'm looking forward to it.
He is a good kid, man.
As a
I was trying to be professional, but I was, biting my lip to keep from cheering in the press box, guys.
There's a new cheer out now.
It was very hard.
On Saturday. Conflict.
There's a new cheer out now that says it's hard to be a Florida Gator. Okay?
Hey, Kevin must have loved it when he heard the Miami fans saying it's great to be a Miami Hurricane. He must have loved that Saturday.
Plagiarism.
Hey, one more note.
A Miramar Hurricane. Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to my boy Grant Holloway today. Ran 12.99 in the Zurich Diamond League earlier today.
Unbelievable.
Just, shout out. So
He might be pretty good.
Yeah, he only getting better. I mean, he hadn't broke 13 all season, and he rolling right now.
I met him over.
He said he wanted to play. He said he wanted to play receiver when he got to Florida. See if he got a couple of games in him, man. We can use.
Yeah, right.
Hey, if we're gonna shout out Grant, we got to shout out his uncle, the greatest coach of any sport in college sports today, and that's Mike Holloway.
Yeah,
and then we spoke to Aaron Pearsall this weekend, and Ricky's in good spirits.
Good to hear.
Back with the team. Yeah. She appreciates everybody's prayers too. I meant to say that on Tuesday, but she definitely thanked everybody.
That much, if that much to the left, and he's a dead man, because it was that much to the right, it went clear through his chest and didn't hit a single major organ or artery.
Yep.
Somebody just said, around there said, Ricky Pearsall saw the bullet. He just had to catch it.
Hey, man, Pretty Ricky, what they call him. That's what they call him. That's what they call him.
I'm glad he's all right. All right, guys, great job.
Yeah.
All right, thank
great
you.
weekend there. Enjoy the
A lot
game.
of fun.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. All right, another meeting of the Orange Bluebloods, Church of Orange Bluebloods. Appreciate my guys tonight carrying me through that. Good crowd tonight. Thanks to our sponsors. You heard us mention Meldon Law, of course, and Titan MRI. Now we'd like to close off with our friends at Rinstar Medical Research. A great bunch of people in Ocala, both as patrons in Ocala and stakeholders, and also a business that so much is done good for us and our health. They're researching all the time to find better treatment for us. And when they do that, these clinical trials go a long way toward adapting the medicine to us in our area. I encourage you, if you are so inclined, go to redstar.net and check out some of the categories they have these clinical trials on. They had over 800 of them. You can take part in it, get compensation for time of travel. You might get some investigational medicines or devices you wouldn't ordinarily get at no charge to you. And also you'll be helping your community and helping yourself, knowing more about our health. Rinstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Well, I normally would have music playing saying goodbye to, but I don't have it today because it's hiding from me. So we'll just say good night, good show, and we'll catch you on Monday. Have a good night, folks. We'll see you then.